Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please lead the prayer, someone else.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikucharya Astotarasya Shisham Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikucharya Astotarasya Shisham Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धाम की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, मायापुर नगरी धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगामयी जमुनामयी की जय, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, and thank you, Tulsi Priya, for the kirtan, and welcome everyone for Srimad-Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and friends. It is Monday, September 11th, 2023. We are reading in third canto, chapter 23, tonight picking up with text number 53. Looking forward to everyone's participation. Thank you very much for being with us, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, and text number 53. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Etavatalam kalena व्यतिक्रांतेन मे प्रभो इंद्रियार्थ प्रसंगेन परित्यक्त परात्मनः. Until now, we have simply wasted so much of our time in sense gratification, neglecting to cultivate knowledge of the Supreme Lord. But what? Human life is not meant to be wasted like that of the animals in sense gratificatory activities. Animals always engage in sense gratification, eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. But that is not the engagement of the human being. Although because of the material body, there is need of some gratification according to a regulatory principle. So in effect, Devhuti said to her husband, so far we have these daughters and we have enjoyed material life in the aerial mansion, traveling all over the universe. These boons have come by your grace, but they have all been for sense gratification. Now there must be something for my spiritual advancement. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Litem Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishitam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhantitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishubhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyo Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Devhuti expressed her feelings. Although they had really good time, him and Kardamuni, and finally they are home and they have 9 daughters now. And Devhuti laments that we were engaged in sense gratification. So this is really eye-opening, because finally, she realized that, Of course, they knew about this, but here in Bhagavatam, she expressed this thing. And Prabhupada says human life is meant for self-realization. Animal cannot do anything because they don't have that higher intelligence. So the human being, we have that high intelligence, and we can use it for cultivating spiritual knowledge and self-realization. So she said, now there must be something for my spiritual advancement. Okay, we'll go on text 54. Let's see what we have. Okay. Mukesh Prabhu, you're on.
Krishna Prabhu, Saraswati Mataji has raised her hand.
Oh yeah, sure, right. Go ahead, Mataji.
Pranams to everyone. I just wanted to say that Devahuti, she's of course looking for her husband to give her the ultimate welfare. He's taken care of her needs so far in the material sense of the word. Way, but now she's looking for the ultimate welfare, but also the results in terms of these daughters. It was very interesting that all of the 9 daughters were highly qualified, all satis, and 2 of them just stand out to me because we hear so much about them from the Ramayana. One of them who's married to the Rishi Vasist, Arundhati, and she was the Guru Mata for Lord Rama and his brothers. Because they came to the Vasisht Muni's Gurukul. And also the other daughter, Satyansoya, her husband was Rishi Atri, and Lord Rama and Sita Devi and Lakshman visited their hermitage in Chitrakut, and Satyansoya gave her celestial garland and ornaments and robes that you never need to wash. They will remain clean, and ornaments that will never fade. So these are some of the gifts that she gave to Sita, and also with the blessing that whatever Sita Ma will do, it will always be pleasing to Lord Rama. So these daughters were not ordinary girls. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Nice. Okay, so, Tulsi Priya, Mataji.
One moment. Indriyarteshu sajantya prasangastvai me krita ajanantya param bhavam tatapyastva bhayaya me. Translation. Not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear. Purport. Devahuti is lamenting her position. As a woman, she had to love someone. Somehow or other, she came to love Kardama Muni, but without knowing of his spiritual advancement. Kardama Muni could understand Devahuti's heart. Generally, all women desire material enjoyment. They are called less intelligent because they are mostly prone to material enjoyment. Devahuti laments because her husband had given her the best kind of material enjoyment, but she did not know that he was so advanced in spiritual realization. Her plea was that even though she did not know the glories of her great husband, because she had taken shelter of him, she must be delivered from material entanglement. Association with a great personality is most important. In Caitanya-caritamrta, Lord Chaitanya says that sadhu sangha, the association of a great saintly person, is very important, because even if one is not advanced in knowledge, simply by association with a great saintly person, one can immediately make considerable advancement in spiritual life. As a woman, as an ordinary wife, Devahuti became attached to Kardama Muni in order to satisfy her sense enjoyment and other material necessities, but actually she associated with a great personality. Now she understood this, and she wanted to utilize the advantage of the association of her great husband. So this is a little confusing to me, this purport. I know Maharaj is not speaking, but maybe he can type something in the chat if he has, if he's able. First thing I don't understand is how she does not know of his spiritual advancement, because before they went off in the aerial mansion, they were together for quite some time, and she was serving him in his bhajan, which is another question I have, but I'll bring it up later. And she was not getting her material needs satisfied at first, and she was obviously content with that. But then afterwards, when she wanted a child, you know, Kardama made all the arrangements for that. But as far as I know, she didn't marry him because she was going to get her material. You know, she didn't need an aerial mansion. She had one before she married him, or she had a mansion and a lot of wealth before she married him through her father. So I'm a little confused about this. And the one thing that I can say that I feel like I can relate a little bit is that a woman gets married and it may take her a while before she realizes the glories of her husband fully. So I would like some clarification on this. I certainly agree with the statement here. Lord Chaitanya says that sadhu sangha, the association of a great saintly person, is very important, because even if one is not advanced in knowledge, simply by association with a great saintly person, one can immediately make considerable advancement in spiritual life. There's an old saying, you don't hear it so much nowadays, maybe it's not politically correct, but there's a saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so when you have the proper connections in material life, you can get somewhere because people help you. And the same holds true in spiritual life. I can't remember the Shastric source, but my husband has spoken to me about this, that when you have the good wishes of the devotees, then you will make spiritual advancement, and you get those good wishes simply by being of service and being favorably disposed to them. But if they withdraw their good wishes from you, then your spiritual life is in a precarious position and pretty much finished. So it's something that we need to keep in mind. We sometimes think if we have some service, or we're learned in Shastra or something like that, that we can get away with being offensive or arrogant, or just not congenial with devotees. But it's really the good wishes of the devotee that help us in our advancement. And I'll stop there. Praveen Prabhu wrote something in the chat box. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmana kavayo vidhu saiva sadhushu krito mokshadwaram apavritam. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul, but that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. Beautiful, thank you. Where is that from, Prabhu? I'm not so learned. And then, do you want to read, would you like me to read your comment in the chat box, my husband? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this verse, speaking as Devahuti. People are delivered by even a moment's association with you, a great devotee. There are two reasons why I did not get deliverance even after many years of association with you. I was attached to sense pleasure, and I did not know your supreme position. You have great detachment and are a great devotee of the Lord. Since you are inclined to give up all possessiveness in an instant, give mercy to me, an offender. And then Maharaj says, Ajanantya param bhavam. She must have known he was advanced, but now how supremely advanced. Param. Okay, she must have known, but not how it's supremely advanced. Thank you, Praveen. Bhagavatam 3:25-20. So we'll be reading that soon. Thank you, Maharaj. And thank you, Praveen. Prabhu.
Okay, Mukesh Prabhu, you go ahead. Next verse. Number 54.
Indriyartheshu sanjatya prasanga tvai me krita ajanantya param bhavam tatapi astava abhyayaya me. Translation: not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear. Purport: Devahuti is lamenting her position. As a woman, she had to love someone. Somehow or the other, she came to love Kardama Muni, but without knowing of his spiritual advancement, Kardama Muni could Kardama Muni could understand Devuti's heart. Generally, all women desire material enjoyment. They are called less intelligent
Haribol, we
because
just
they
read this.
Oh yeah, right. I'm sorry.
We're on text 55.
Right.
text number 55. Sangoya samastrer hetu asatu vihitu diha se eva sadhusho krita nishangatvavyat kalpate. Translation: Association for sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage, but the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge. Purport: The association of saintly person is anyway bears the same result. For example, Lord Sri Krishna met many kinds of living entities, and some treated him as an enemy. Some treated him as an agent of sense gratification. It is generally said that the gopis were attached to Krishna for sense attractions, and yet they they became first-class devotees of the Lord. Kamsa, Shishupal, Dantavakra, and other demons, however, were related to Krishna as enemies. But whether they associate with Krishna as enemy or for sense gratification, out of fear, or as a pure devotees, they all got liberation. That is the result of the association of the Lord. Even if one does not understand who he is, the results that the same the the results have the same efficacy. Association with the great saintly person also results in liberation, just as whether one goes towards the fire knowingly or unknowingly, the fire will make one warm. Devoti expressed her gratefulness for although she wanted to associate with Kardama Muni only for sense gratification. Because a spiritual he was spiritually great, she was sure to be liberated by his benediction.
Yes. So association is very important. And
Actually, I had a question
sure.
from the verse before.
Mhm.
When we see the beings from the heavenly planets enjoying the sense gratification for much more many folds than the earthly life, why are they not uh, why are they not doing bhakti, exclusive bhakti as as did by the some of the great sages on the earthly planets? Like why are why do they become so much blind, not knowing the real purpose of the life?
Well, in the first place, they want to enjoy the heavenly planet. That's why they are there. And second thing is, earthly planet is very inducive for bhakti. And in heavenly planets, you forget about bhakti because you have so much enjoyment. Some of the people, if they are really fixed, then they might, do bhakti there also. But mostly it's enjoyment. Okay, Tulsi Priya has a hand up.
Hi, Krishna. I just wanted to address Mukesh Prabhu's question. I'm not sure if this is the correct answer. Maybe Maharaj can confirm or negate. But I was feeling like sometimes anyone, even a devotee, well, we do have a prime example in Maharaj Bharat. He was firmly engaged in his bhajan, and then simply by chance, not even by intention, he was distracted for a good long time by a little deer. And then that took him off on a completely different course. And so, Kardama Muni had a duty to fulfill, and Devahuti had her particular desire, which doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to forget about the goal of life or forget about spiritual life. But somehow or other, you can say, oh, I'm just going to take care of this one little thing and then go back to my bhajan. And then you get sidetracked because it sucks you in, and it takes over. So I've never heard this directly stated, but maybe this is a sort of an example of how you have to be very careful when you're pursuing things other than pure devotional service, because it's very easy to get swept away. I mean, and their initial plan turned into many years of roaming around the different heavenly realms. But initially all they wanted to do was do their duty and have a child, and it turned into this big production. So that's my take on it. I had a question though, but there are other hands up, so I'll wait and ask it later.
Sure. Saraswati Mata, go ahead.
I just wanted to say we've always heard the vital importance of associating with devotees and how much of a difference it can make. And just the example of Valmiki comes to mind. He was a chor, a robber in his previously, until he met Narad Muni. And when Narad Muni, there was nothing that he could steal from Narad Muni. So Narad Muni said, well, I can give you something. But before Narad Muni said what he was going to give, Valmiki had indicated that, well, he was not interested in cultivating spiritual knowledge or practicing anything spiritually, chanting the Lord's name. So Narad Muni said, that's all right. How about you chant Mara, 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 which means dead body. So when you chant that consecutively, 3 Maras translates to Rama. And so that's how Valmiki became the great writer and author of the Ramayana, and in fact, the guru of Lord Rama's twin sons. Thank you.
Panchatattva Prabhu.
I was reading this purport and thinking of Srila Prabhupada and how, especially in the early days, many young people came to him, not knowing who he really was or what his mission, the broad scope of his mission. And Prabhupada didn't even necessarily explain to them right away the 4 regulative principles and so forth, or how to worship the spiritual master. But by his association and gradually through the purification of the prasadam, which he personally prepared, and the gradual introduction via instruction, via exposure to the purifying power of the holy name being pronounced from the lips of a pure devotee, they came to understand. So I was reminded of them.
Yeah, that's a great example, Prabhupada and his association with the devotees. Yes. Tulsi Priya, go ahead, your question.
So I'm a little shy to ask it, but it's been burning in my mind. So my question is, this is all taking place during Satya Yuga, correct?
Yes.
So my understanding of Satya Yuga is that the main form of self-realization was via meditation.
Mhm.
And so there's no yagyas, there's, just sitting and meditating. And there was the way that people fed themselves is there were just fruits that would just fall off the trees and they didn't even have peels. So, the bodily needs didn't seem to have a lot of demands. You didn't have to do a lot of labor to meet bodily demands. So my burning question is, what was Devahuti's service to Kardama during, prior to the aerial mention era? I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, to the point where she couldn't even maintain her own body. If it wasn't so hard to maintain one's physical needs in Satya Yuga, I'm just wondering what it is that was happening that she couldn't take care of herself, and what she was doing to serve her husband. I don't know.
My answer would be, before Kardama Muni met Devahuti, he didn't have any demand anyway. But Devahuti, after marrying him, took it very rigidly to serve her husband in any way she can. She may be getting some woods together for some kind of ritual activities, or getting some water, making some breakfast and evening prasadam. That way, I think she kept herself busy in Kardama Muni's service. That's how I think.
I would like to know if there's if it's described somewhere, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Kardama Muni was engaged in austerities and penances as a sage. It's not as though bountiful feasts were laying all around in his hermitage in the forest. He was engaged in tapasya that most certainly included fasting, deep meditation, and so forth. And typically the wife would follow in the footsteps of the husband and perform the necessary tasks to support the husband in his role as a sage, and also accept much of the same austerities. Just as Sita accepted the austerities of her husband when Ram was banished to the forest. So just because it was such a yuga doesn't mean that these sages weren't engaged in intense self-control.
Thank you. That makes sense. Would you say, would she have been engaged in meditation herself, or just assisting?
That I cannot say, but certainly she would have been adopting a similar diet, and she would have been following the path of her husband, making sure that his needs were met, and we understand from Bhagavatam that the result was that she was, in a position that was nothing like her position as a princess.
Thank you. I wasn't thinking so much about the austerities. I was just thinking about meditation. But yes, it makes sense because the wife follows the vow of the husband. So if he doesn't eat, she probably doesn't eat either. Okay, thank you.
Panchatattva Prabhu, you want to go ahead next, please? Number 56.
56. Nehayat karma dharmaya naviragaya kopate natirtha pada sevaya jivan api mrito hi saha. Translation: anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performances do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation that does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered dead, although he is breathing. Purport. Devahuti's statement is that since she was attached to living with her husband for sense gratification, which does not lead to liberation from material entanglement, her life was simply a waste of time. Any work one performs that does not lead to the state of religious life is useless activity. Everyone is by nature inclined to some sort of work, and when that work leads one to religious life, and religious life leads one to renunciation, and renunciation leads one to devotional service, one attains the perfection of work. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, any work that does not lead ultimately to the standard of devotional service is a cause of bondage in the material world. Jagyartat karmanon yatra lokayam karma bandhanaha. Unless one is gradually elevated to the position of devotional service, beginning from his natural activity, he is to be considered a dead body. Work which does not lead one to the understanding of Krishna consciousness is considered useless.
Go ahead.
Well, there's the hammer.
Yeah.
Start to tally up all the uselessness that's been there in my life. The beginning is acting, what does it say here? Beginning from his natural activity. So that's the beginning. You take your natural activities and you use them in the service of the Lord and his devotees, and gradually you make advancement to the platform of religious life, and then renunciation and devotional service. Of course, this can be equated somewhat with the yoga ladder. The Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us the elevator. Come right to the platform of devotional service, engage fully in the service of Guru and Krishna. That way you can avoid the gradual steps. So.
Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Could we backtrack for a moment and discuss the purport to 55? I think Mukesh Prabhu had a question about the previous purport, and then I had a comment and a question, and we didn't really go over 55.
Okay, let's see. Surabhi Kunja, you want to keep tab on chat box, please?
Yes, there's some comments that, Maharaj made a comment earlier that you also said, so I didn't read it. It was about the heavenly planets.
Mm-hmm.
You said, about the sense gratification, and Maharaj said, such are the heavenly planets, too much sense gratification. And before that, Saraswati Mataji said that Devhuti had enjoyed material riches provided by her parents, but the material enjoyment given by her husband, knowing her heart so well, brings a different kind of enjoyment which she appreciated.
Nice.
But other than that, there haven't been much in the chat box, I think. Oh, and Ananta Shesh Prabhu said that this is a great purport, the essence. That's 56.
Yes. Subhi Mother, you want to go ahead, next verse? Number 57.
Okay, I think Tulsi Priya Mataji wanted to discuss 55.
Okay.
The purport to 55 before that. Oh.
Well, if the others would rather move on, it's just basically it's a continuation of the idea of association, and one interesting point is it says that the gopis were attracted to Krishna for sense attractions, and yet they became first-class devotees of the Lord. We had some sort of discussion like this the other day, I think, where we were saying that the difference between kama and prema, but you have to go by the context of how the word is used. Oh yeah, somebody was asking, no, it was something else I was reading. It was, sorry, I'm getting my classes mixed up here. Anyways, if nobody has any more comment, I just felt like we backtracked from this purport and then we skipped over, so I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything anybody wanted to say about it.
Okay, go ahead, Shubhi Mataji.
Okay, did anyone have anything to say about the purport of 56?
56.
Before we go
We were
ahead.
just discussing that one, weren't we? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'll read 57. Saham Bhagavato Nunam Vanchita Maya Yadridam Yatvam Vimuktidam Prapya Namumuksheya Bandhanat. My Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. Purport. An intelligent man should utilize good opportunities. The first opportunity is the human form of life, and the second opportunity is to take birth in a suitable family where there is cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is rarely obtained. The greatest opportunity is to have the association of a saintly person. Devahuti was conscious that she was born as the daughter of an emperor. She was sufficiently educated and cultured, and at last she got Kardama Muni, a saintly person and a great yogi, as her husband. Still, if she did not get liberation from the entanglement of material energy, then certainly she would be cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy. Actually, the illusory material energy is cheating everyone. People do not know what they are doing when they worship the material energy in the form of Goddess Kali or Durga or material boons. They ask, Mother, give me great riches, give me a good wife, give me fame, give me victory. But such devotees of the goddess Maya or Durga do not know that they are being cheated by that goddess. Material achievement is actually no achievement, because as soon as one is illusioned by the material gifts, he becomes more and more entangled, and there is no question of liberation. One should be intelligent enough to know how to utilize material assets for the purpose of spiritual realization. That is called karma yoga or jnana yoga. Whatever we have, we should use as service to the Supreme Person. It is advised in Bhagavad Gita, Sva karmanatam abhyarchya. One should try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's assets. There are many forms of service to the Supreme Lord, and anyone can render service unto him according to the best of his ability. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 23rd chapter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled Devahuti's Lamentation.
This is a great purport. You want to go ahead and describe something? Okay. Yeah, material energy is wonderful and illusory. We have to be careful what we ask for. The only safe thing to ask is, please engage me in your devotional service. Even gopis, they took the austerity to have a vrat for Katyani, to please Katyani, and just ask the boon that Krishna become their husband. Similarly, we can ask many things, but only thing I would ask is, or we should ask is, please engage me in your devotional service. Saraswati Mataji, you have a hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's so nicely that Devahuti actually admitted that all these so-called material advantages that she had received since birth were nothing but trappings by Maya to entice and divert her from the real treasure for all of us, which is Shuddh Bhakti. And so this, she knows that this is a deplorable form of existence without bhakti. And really, she knows that her husband took care of her present, her father took care of the past, but now she wants her husband to take care of her future, a future in which she can be released from material bondage and become a liberated soul like him. So this is really what she wants from her husband, to secure her future. Thank you.
Thank you. Tulsi Priya?
Hare Krishna, I wanted to appreciate Surabhi's points, Surabhi Mataji's points that she just made. I wanted the question I had was, I'm hesitant to say it. Like when I mentioned Maharaj Parikshit before, he fell into illusion because of the little deer, even though he was engaged in his sadhana, and he was very advanced. So even though it was the duty of Kardama Muni to create progeny, and Devahuti was serving him, can we say like that they were in illusion during this period, or what was the state of their consciousness? After it was all over, then Kardama went back to his bhajan, but I'm just wondering, were they forgetful, or was it just they were busy in that particular project, and so they were focused on that? I'm trying to understand.
Well, in the purport, it says that earlier purport that Kardama Muni really became compassionate for Devahuti, because she really served him very well, and he wanted to reward her. So there we go. Yes, Saraswati Mata.
I just wanted to add to that with the example of Bharat Maharaj, who attained right up to the stage of bhava, and then this little deer that he wanted to nurture, take care of. Sometimes it makes us think, oh, well, how could that have happened? He'd renounced everything. He had children of his own, but somehow or another, that there was something in there that made him attached, and to give this parental love. So I don't know if, even though he had children, whether that kind of desire had been unfulfilled or wasn't fulfilled fully or something. Sometimes we have these desires, they're unwanted, but somehow or another they're there and they're tugging and pulling at us. And as much as we want to ignore it, because we know that really our complete dedication should be to advancing in Krishna consciousness, but sometimes it could be there and it can't be completely ignored. And maybe we're not meant to ignore it, because we're meant to experience it and then learn the futility of having had those desires in the first place. So it makes me think that in this case with Devahuti, we know she wasn't an ordinary person. Okay, she was a princess, but look who her father was. These are all spiritually advanced powerful males, even and her own mother. They were all very advanced devotees in her life. So it might make us scratch our heads like, well, why would she then want to have any kind of sense gratification, really? But there are certain desires in us that, as much as we want to ignore it, we can't ignore it. And B, if we are to fulfill them, it's better that we fulfill them under the guidance of devotees and according to scripture. And then towards the end of it, we may realize that, just like Devahuti, the futility of having been attached to those things. So this is what I think in my mind, that not all of us can completely jump and become, it says it's a gradual process. So it's not like all of a sudden we can, drop all the desires we've had and maintained and are going to have overnight. Maybe we're meant to fulfill them according to scripture, and then really awaken and realize that, well, it was a bit pointless. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Maharaj has responded to, well, he comments on Tulsi Priya Mataji's question, which he said, if I recall, one purport says they didn't notice how the time was passing. And then Tulsi Priya responds saying, thank you. I guess what I'm asking, to put it bluntly, were they in Maya? And there are some other comments which I'll read while Maharaj is typing. Okay, let's see. Maharaj says that comes up in so many pastimes. Was Arjuna in Maya?
I see. So for the sake of the pastime, maybe they, sort of tying in with what Mataji was saying, that certain things have to happen for the pastime to play out. So it works with people's desires or not, but they're not ordinary people. So, if it was me, I would definitely be in Maya, but for them, they're playing a role in the pastime, so.
Maharaj says, to the question, were they in Maya? Maharaj says, from one point of view, certainly. From another, Krishna's arrangement.
Nice.
Thank you.
Panchatattva Prabhu.
Okay.
I had to quickly move my cursor down there. I was appreciating this passage in the purport. People do not know what they're doing when they worship the material energy in the form of goddess Kali or Durga for material bones. They ask for so many things, and the devotees of goddess Maya or Durga. And I was thinking someone may make the mistake of thinking, yeah, those silly Indian fellows over in India worshiping goddess Kali. But this actual fascination with Maya, or the material energy personified by Durga, is the lot of us all. We're all actually worshiping Maya if we're not worshiping Krishna. So it's not just a few Kali worshippers with their goats or something. It's us all.
Yes.
I'll just read the rest of the comments from the chat box. Oh, Maharaj says, thou nature art my goddess. And so above, Caitanya Prabhu says, Srila Vishwanath says, commenting on Devahuti's statement in text 57, I am an example of such a dead person. I am the living person who is dead, Saham. I did not desire liberation, Nama Mukshaya. She speaks with tears in her eyes and choked voice. And Ananda Shesh Prabhu asks, can this be used by people who do not want to do their material responsibilities?
Okay, let's see. I have to read that question again. What is this?
It's like in reference to the purport talking about, anything that's not related to Krishna is useless. Is that the reference there?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the point is just to make it related to Krishna. You have to do your service. You have material responsibilities, but somehow it has to be connected, dovetailed with Krishna. So if you're saying, oh, I have to do this material responsibility, but you're not connecting, yeah, then it's useless. But if you can connect it to Krishna, then it's not useless.
And Praveen has a question. Can we say the illusion Krishna puts his devotees in is for their benefit?
Our own benefit, yes.
Mark says, our benefit. Or our benefit. Or our benefit.
For our benefit. Yeah, he does everything for our benefits, yes. Okay, we are end of this time now. Panchatattva Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajacharya Astottara Satta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajacharya Astottara Satta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sriva Sadigaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Girgovardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Ki Jai. Jamunamai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande. Are you in Guyana, Maharaj?
Yes. Nice.
We were tuning into a class that you were giving, and the devotee was typing. The devotee was reading out and typing. So just hear your voice.
There was a play.
Yesterday I just spoke. It was easier.
Is your voice recovering now a little? Is it laryngitis?
Yeah, it's laryngitis with an underlying etiology of acid reflux.
Gastrointestinal.
So we'll see. I have a follow-up appointment in a few days.
What time is there, Maharaj, right now?
Same as you.
Oh, okay. Thank you for being with us, Maharaj.
We wish you a speedy recovery, Gurudev.
Yes, we like to hear from
you. As Krishna may desire.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Maharaj. Srimad-Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jayadvaita Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai.
Jai. Go Premanande.
Go Premanande.